Johnson Johnson vaccines are halted across the country. We let you know the reasoning behind the halt and what you can do if you've already gotten that vaccine.
We just saw the rise in our businesses coming back, so it's a little bit of a punch to the gut.
Whitman County, one of 3 Washington counties moving back to phase 2 restrictions. Business owners say this move is another difficult blow in an already difficult year for Pullman.
We had a peak wind gust of 35 miles per hour out at the Spokane airport, tracking less wind tomorrow and more sunshine. Your forecast is next. And good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on KREM 2 News at 5 o'clock. I'm Tom Sherry.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Whitney Ward. We begin tonight as one of the 3 vaccine options in this country is no longer being used against COVID-19. Johnson Johnson now linked to potentially dangerous side effects. The FDA and the CDC have recommended a pause now in use of all of the Johnson Johnson COVID-19 vaccines over concerns of rare blood clots. Despite that, top White House officials say there will not be a significant impact on vaccination efforts in the country. Federal vaccination channels and more than 40 states have announced they too are stopping all J&J usage while health officials investigate.
We have more than enough supply of Pfizer and Moderna vaccines to continue the current pace of about 3 million shots per day.
The CDC will convene an advisory committee meeting on Wednesday, that's tomorrow, to discuss the 6 cases that had blood clots as well as next steps. In the meantime, Johnson Johnson did release a statement saying there is no clear relationship between these rare events and its vaccine.
But health officials in both Washington and Idaho announced that they will pause the Johnson Johnson vaccine distribution.
Our Morgan Trow spent the day finding out what that means exactly for vaccine appointments in both states.
Both Spokane and the Panhandle Health District have hit the pause button on distributing Johnson Johnson vaccines, but both say that this should not majorly impact patient appointments this week. Washington and Idaho health experts say although the reaction is extremely rare, the vaccine is on hold until the states receive further recommendations from federal partners on how to move forward.
So what we're hoping is that this is, a brief pause, that the CDC can get to the bottom of this, the FDA can review the evidence, and really figure out what's happening here.
Catherine Hoyer with the Panhandle Health District says they have distributed about 4,500 doses to enrolled vaccine providers. The first mass vaccine clinic using J&J was scheduled for April 22nd in Kootenai County. Hoyer says this shouldn't be an issue for North Idaho since they have plenty of appointments available for Pfizer clinics. The Spokane Regional Health District says of the thousands of vaccines that have been distributed, less than 400 were J&J. The health district says they were mainly used for people who are homebound. The health district will still do homebound visits this Thursday and Friday, but they'll be bringing Pfizer or Moderna vaccines instead. Right now, there are enough vaccines to accommodate all of the J&J appointments this week. More than 6.8 million people in the United States received the Johnson Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. Of the almost 7 million people, the CDC reports 6 women suffered blood clotting. State officials say none of these cases occurred in Washington or Idaho.
So your odds are really good that this won't occur, but also just, make sure that you're looking out for signs and symptoms. If you've received the vaccine the last few days or the last 2 weeks, then maybe watch for any signs or symptoms and then contact your healthcare provider if you have any questions or concerns.
Panhandle says they are reaching out to patients to reschedule for other clinics. Spokane says if you had an appointment scheduled for J&J and have not heard back from the health district, your appointment still stands and the vaccine will be Pfizer or Moderna. If you have any questions on scheduling, you can text the word appointment to 509-448-2000. Reporting in Spokane, Morgan Trow, KREM 2 News.
Well, if you recently received the Johnson Johnson vaccine, here's what the CDC says that you need to know. If you got the shot more than a month ago, you are at low risk. But if you got it less than 2 weeks ago, you should look for the following symptoms, like a severe headache, abdominal pain, leg pain, and shortness of breath. If you experience these symptoms, you should contact your healthcare provider and seek medical treatment. These symptoms, though, are different from the mild flu-like symptoms and fever that many people do experience in the couple of days after they've received that vaccine.
Well, at this time yesterday, we were saying, okay, all we need to do is get through this big wind event, and then we have all these days of warm temperatures and sunshine. But now it turned out, even the wind event turned out not to be so much of an issue, right, Tom?
Yeah, not a big deal here in the Spokane area. We've got much stronger winds out in areas of central Washington, and we're still going to see windy weather, although I don't think damaging winds later tonight and as well as into Wednesday. Wind gusts basically 10 to 20 miles an hour with gusts up to about 30. But plenty of sunshine and very warm weather on the way late this week. The blowing dust advisory still in effect in central Washington and the lower Columbia Basin until 8 o'clock tonight, so watch out for that. There you can see the anemometers just spinning around out there on Lake Coeur d'Alene. That's a live picture where we've got wind out of the northeast at 18 miles per hour, and it's 55 degrees. No rain, as you can see on the radar. We'll look for temperatures in the 50s early on this evening, and then an overnight low of 35. Sunshine tomorrow, continued windy, as I said before, 10 to 20 mile an hour winds with gusts to 30. 62 the expected high, and boy, we have saved the best for the weekend. Sunshine and 70s for Saturday and Sunday, well above the average high of 56. I'll check your 7-day forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Sounds good. It just gets better from here, Tom. Thank you. Whitman County, now one of 3 counties in Washington, moving back to phase 2 starting Friday. This comes after Washington State University officials said in a letter student gatherings and parties led to a big bump in COVID-19 cases. So our Ian Smay went to Pullman today to find out how business owners are now preparing.
Here in Pullman, businesses have been struggling through the pandemic with fewer students on WSU's campus. Now with the move back to phase 2 later this week, they say it's another blow in an already difficult year.
The whole cruel irony of this whole thing is that they had hope, they were moving forward, and now they took that gut punch by saying, hey, you got to roll back to this previous phase, and I think that's going to be difficult.
An already hard year for businesses in Pullman was made harder yesterday when Governor Jay Inslee announced Whitman County would be moving back to phase 2. At least part of those difficulties has been the uncertainty.
The hardest part through all things COVID has just been not knowing where we're going to be and what we need, and so staffing's been the issue, I think, on all levels, because you couldn't afford to hire too much, but then when you needed it, you couldn't do the quick turnaround.
The change to phase 2 means restaurants will have to lower indoor dining capacity to 25%. Whitman County, like the rest of the state, had been in phase 3 of Inslee's reopening plan since Valentine's Day. According to Bielenberg, it's been hard to keep spirits high with all of the changing restrictions COVID-19 has caused.
Probably the hardest thing is just the morale, and I think, again, that's all things pandemic, that it's like we felt like we were going in the right direction, and vaccine efforts in Whitman County have been phenomenal.
Some businesses in Pullman have had to shut their doors for good due to the economic turmoil caused by COVID-19 restrictions. Others have seen less and less revenue as capacities were lowered and temporary shutdowns were put in place. This has led to decreased tax revenue for Pullman, which in turn affects projects and services in the city.
When people struggle in our city, that does have a greater impact on just economic development, and as we're talking about revitalization of downtown and all these other initiatives, we need that economy to be strong and robust.
But even with a move back in phases just around the corner for Pullman, people are still remaining hopeful. With summer weather drawing closer, restaurants could be able to utilize more outdoor dining.
And we have wonderful support from the community, and so not too concerned about that.
The phase 2 restrictions don't go back into effect until Friday. Now, the next time the county will be reevaluated is on May 3rd, which is the start of finals week here at WSU. In Pullman, Ian Smay, KREM 2 News.
It means so much to have those prayers and that support.
The Spokane community is showing support for a 5-year-old girl that was assaulted and her mother was killed last weekend. Family members say the child's name is Lily and her mother is Cassie. We are choosing not to report their last names to protect the child's privacy. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley spoke with the family and close friends of Cassie's today.
Good evening. I'm at the North Spokane home where just last weekend Cassie was killed. Her 5-year-old daughter Lily was also attacked. She survived but is recovering from serious injuries. Here on their lawn, a memorial continues to grow with several flowers, cards, and a few balloons. Now, a candlelight vigil is planned for tomorrow evening. It will start at 7:30 p.m. at Franklin Park. Cassie's co-workers are organizing the event with donations from their union. They ask those who attend to wear masks and social distance. Candles will be provided and domestic violence counselors will be there for anyone who needs to talk. Now today I talked to a longtime friend of Cassie's who is helping organize the event along with Lily's aunt. They tell me they are still processing what happened.
I think everybody is very devastated. A lot of emotions are running high right now. The family's hurting. I've talked to them. I mean, this is devastating to all of us.
Obviously, it's devastating to hear what happened to Cassie and then hearing what happened to Lily, and it makes you so angry because things like that just shouldn't happen.
Now, Lily's aunt that you just heard from there, Sierra Kellogg, created a GoFundMe page to raise funds for Lily and her two older siblings. Now, we've posted that link on creme.com, and that account has actually already raised over $33,000. Now, at this time, Spokane police have not yet identified the suspect. He is in police custody at the hospital right now. SPD says his name will be released once he is booked into jail. Reporting in North Spokane tonight, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.